대박. 정말 한 페이지 반 읽었는데 전화 오고 또 통화하고 문제가 생기고 뭘 하려고만 하면 그러네요. 곤란하다. 처음부터 다시 읽어야겠어. 예. 얘기 잠깐 할까봐요. 그러니까 어차피 이거는 개인 블로그니까 여기가 학교까지 거리가 너무 멀지는 않은데 차가 없이는 아이들 픽업이 좀 힘든 상태예요. 그리고 이제 9월 1일자부터 제가 지금 드라이브 라이센스가 엑스파이어 돼가지고 기간을 산 거죠. 그래서 어떤 곳으로도 운행을 할 수 없어요. 차량 운행이 안 되니까 지금 벌써 보름이 넘게 다른 분한테 부탁을 하고 있는데 오늘따라 그분 차 오전 중에 저랑 같이 잠깐 도서관에 다녀왔는데 배터리가 방전이 돼가지고 애들 픽업해야 되는 시간이 애매해져가지고 막 고민하면서 연락 오셨어요. 그래서 이제 어떻게 해야 되지 하고 이제 아빠 나오라고 연락했더니 이제 그분 아빠가 또 그쪽 집 아빠가 움직인다고 연락이 와가지고 죄송하고도 감사하게 또 오늘 하루가 무사히 되네요. 애들 학교가 차로는 한 10분 안 걸리는데 걸어서 데리고 올 수도 없고 이건 좀 곤란해요. 그래가지고 운전이 안 되면은 저 예전에 뭐 TV에서 어느 장관 임명할 때 미국에 있는 아이 차를 중고차를 한 대 사줬는데 왜 차를 사주냐고 이렇게 그런 얘기 뭐 이거 무슨 불법적으로 증여한 거 아니냐고 이런 거 나왔을 때 제가 그런 생각을 했죠. 차가 없이 미국에서 어떻게 지내냐고 차 없이는 슈퍼도 못 가는데 라는 생각이 했는데 문득 그런 생각이 드네요. 아무튼 네. 한 반 읽었을 뿐인데 이런 일들이 또 그 잠깐만에 전화 통화를 하게 돼서 처음부터 다 읽어야겠다 생각을 했어요. 한 챕터 읽는 게 가능할지 모르겠어요. 또 중간에 연락 오고 전화하고 해야 될지도. 다시 읽어봐야겠어요. Charles wept. Chapter 1, Before breakfast. Where's Papa going with that axe? Said Pern to her mother as they were setting the table for breakfast. Out to the Hog House, replied Mrs. Arrival. Some pigs were born last night. I don't see why he needs an axe, continued Palm, who was only 8. Well, said her mother, one of the pigs is a runt. It's very small and weak, and it will never amount to anything. So your father has decided to do away with it. Do away, short, short Pern. You mean kill it just because it's smaller than the other? Said Mrs. Arrival put a pitcher of cream on the table. Don't yell, Pern, she said. Your father is right. The pig would probably die anyway. Pern pushed the chair out of the way and ran outdoors. The grass was wet and the earth smelled of springtime. Pern's sneakers were sopping by the time he stopped. It's unfair. Mr. Arrival stopped walking. Pern, he said gently, you will have to learn to control yourself. Control myself? Yelled Pern. This is a matter of life and death. And you talk about controlling myself? Tears ran down her cheeks and she took hold of the axe and tried to pull it out of her father's hand. "Turn," said Mr. Arrival. "I know, hmm, I know more about raising a litter of pigs than you do. A weakling maker, a weakling makes trouble. Now run along." "But it's unfair!" cried Pond. "The pig couldn't have been born small, couldn't it? If I had been very small at first, would you have killed me?" Mr. O'Reilly smiled. "Certainly not," he said, looking down at his daughter with love. "But this is different. A little girl is one thing, a little lumpy pig is another." "I see no difference," replied Tom, still hanging on to the axe. "This is the most terrible case of injustice I never heard of." A queer look came over John Arrival's face. He seemed almost ready to cry himself. All right," he said. "You go back to the house, and I will bring a runt when I come in. I will let you it, start it on a bottle like a baby." 처먹이는 것부터 시작하는 걸 허락해 준다는 거죠, 지금. See what trouble a pig can be. 왜 어려운지에 대해서 알게 된다는 거죠. 살기가 어려운지, 존재하는 게 어려운지인 거죠. When Mr. Arrival returned to the house half an hour later, he carried the cartoon under his arm. Pam was upstairs changing her sneakers. The kitchen table was set for breakfast, and the room smelled of coffee, bacon, damp plaster, and wood smoke from the stove. "Put it on her chair," said Mrs. Arrival. Mr. Arrival set the cotton down at Pern's place. Then he walked to the sink and washed his hands and dried them on the roller towel. 두루마리 식으로 돼 있나 봐요. 타월이. Pam came slowly down the stair. Her eyes were red from crying. 울어가지고 빨갛게 됐다라는 걸 이렇게 적어놨네요. As she approached her chair, the cartoon wobbled, and there was a scratching noise. Pam looked at her father. Then he lifted the lid of the cartoon. 뚜껑 닫혀 있었는데 그 상자 뚜껑을 이렇게 들어 올렸어요. There, inside, looking up at her, 위를 뚝 쳐다보고 있는 거야, was a newborn pig. It was a white one. The morning light shone through its ear, turning them pink. 이렇게 아침 햇살 때문에 이게 핑크 색깔로 이렇게 보이는 거죠. He's yours, said Mr. Arrival, saved from an untimely death. 죽지 않도록 돌보라는 건가? 죽음으로부터 구해라는 건데 이거 좀 말이 너무 무섭죠. And made a good road forgive me for this foolishness. 이게 바보 같지 않도록 해라. 이런 걸. Pearl couldn't take her eyes off the tiny pig. Oh, she whispered. Oh, look at him. He's absolutely perfect. He closed the cartoon carefully. First she kissed her part, then she kissed her mother. Then she opened the lid again, lifted the pig out, and held it against her cheek. At this moment, her brother Avery came into the room. Avery was 10. He was heavily armed, air rifle 이거 총이에요. 긴 장총. Rifle in one hand and wooden dagger in the other. What's that? He demanded. What's Pearl got? What's Pearl got? She's got a gas stove for breakfast. 아침 식사에 총이면 돼지야. 처먹으면 안 돼. Said Mrs. Rifle. Wash your hand and face Avery. Let's see it. 보여줘. 그런 거죠. Said Avery, setting her gun down. You call them resurrecting a pig. That's a fine specimen of a pig. It's no bigger than a white rat. 생쥐만큼 작아요. 도대체 얼마나 작은가. Wash up and eat your breakfast. Avery, said his mother. The school bus will be around in half an hour. Can I have a pig to Bob? 이거가 뭐죠? 내가 돼지를 먹어도 되나요? 이런 거지. Ask Avery. No, I only distribute pigs to early riser. Said Mr. Avery. Arable. Pearl was up at daylight, trying to read the world of injustice. As a result, she now has a pig, a small one to be sure, but nevertheless, a pig. It does show what can happen if a person get out of that promptly. Let's eat, but Pearl couldn't eat. Nothing but whole 애기용 젖병이죠. Nothing but whole and a rubber nipple. 젖꼭지. 그리고 젖병에 끼우는 거. And she poured warm milk into the bottle. Patted the nipple over the top and handed it to Pearl. Give him his breakfast, she said. A minute later, Pearl was seated on the floor and in the corner of the kitchen with her infant between her knees, teaching it to suck from the bottle. The pig, although tiny, had a good appetite and caught on quickly. The school bus honked from the road. Ground! commanded Mrs. says Arrival, taking the pig from Fern and slipping a donut into her hand. Avery grabbed his gun and another donut. The children ran up the road and climbed into the forest. Fern took no notice of the other and the birds. She just sat and stared out of the window, thinking what a blissful, bliss, blissful world it was, and how lucky she was to have an entire charge of a pig. By the time the birds reached school, Pon had named her pet, selecting the most beautiful name she could think of. Its name is Weaver, she whispered to herself. She was still thinking about the pig when the teacher said, Pern, what is the capital? Weaver, replied Pern dreamingly. The puffers giggled. Pern blushed. Chapter 2, Weaver. Pern loved the weaver more than anything. She loved to stroke him, to feed him, to put him to bed. Every morning, as soon as she got up, she warmed his milk, tied his bib on, and held the bottle for him. Every afternoon, when the school bus stopped in front of her house, she jumped out and ran to the kitchen to fix another bottle of for him. She fed him again at sup, supper time, and again just before going to bed. Mrs. Arrival gave him a feeding around the noontime each day. When Pern was away in school, we were off his milk, and he was never happier than when Pern was warming up a bottle for him. He would stand and gaze up at her with adoring eyes. For the first few days of his life, Weaver was allowed to repair the stove in the kitchen. Then, when Mrs. Arrival complained, he was moved to a bigger box in the woodshed. woodshed. At 2 weeks of age, and the days were getting warmer, Mr. Arrival fixed a small yacht, especially of Weaver down an apple tree, and gave him a large wooden box full of straw with a doorway cut in it so he could walk in and out. He pleased. Won't he be cold at night? Asked Fern. No, said her father. You watch and see what he does. Carrying a bottle of milk, Fern sat down under the apple tree inside the yacht. Wilbur ran to her and she held the bottle for him while he sucked. When he had finished the last drop, he grunted and walked sleepily into the box. Pond peered through the door. Weaver was parking the straw with his snout. In a short time, he had dug a tunnel in the straw. He crawled into the tunnel and disappeared from sight, completely covered with straw. One was intended. It leave her mind to know that her baby would sleep covered up and would stay warm. Every morning after breakfast, Weaver walked out to the road with the Pearl and waited with her till the bus came. She would wave goodbye to him, and he would stand and watch the bus until it vanished around the around the uptown. While Pon was in school, Weaver was shut up inside his yacht. But as soon as she got home in the in the afternoon, she would take him up and he would follow her around the place. If she went into the house, Weaver went too. If she went upstairs, Weaver would wait at the bottom step until she came down again. If she took her dog for a walk in the dog carriage, we were followed along. Sometimes on this journey, Weaver would get tired and Cornwall would pick him up and put him in the carriage alongside the dog. 이게 여기 나오는 게 유모차잖아요, carriage가. 근데 그 인형용 유모차 같이 누워서 돌아다니네요, 얘가. Right, he did. And if he was very tired, he would close his eyes and go to sleep under the dog's blanket. He looked cute when his eyes were closed because his ratios were so wrong. The dog would close her eyes too, and Ronald will wheel the carriage very slowly and smoothly so as not to work as not to work her impant. One warm afternoon, Pearl and Avery put on their bathing suit and went down to the brook for a swim. We were tagged along at Pearl's heel when she waded into the brook. We were waded in with her. He pounded the water quite cold, too cold for his liking. So while the children swam and played and splashed water at each other, Weaver amused himself in the mud along the edge of the brook, where it was warm and moist too, with the light pools sticky and all that. Every day was a happy day, and every night was peaceful. Weaver was not Palmer or a spring pig, which simply means that he was born in springtime. When he was 5 weeks old, Mr. Arrival said he was not big enough to sell. 5주 만에 파는 거야. And would have to be sold. Pond broke down and wept. But her father was pumped about it. Wilbur's appetite had increased. He was beginning to eat scrap of food in addition to milk. Mr. Arrival was not willing to provide for him any longer. He had already sold Weaver's 10 brothers and sisters. 다른 애들은 다 팔았고 얘만 남은 거네요. 그리고 얘 이제 거기에 들어가서 사는 거예요. 우리에 들어가서. He's got to go. 가야 되는 거죠. He said, you have had your pawn raising a baby pig. But Wilbur is not a baby any longer, and he has got to be sold. Call up the Jokerman. 조커맨 씨한테 전화를 하는데요. 이 조커맨 씨 집에 팔려가요, 얘가. Suggested Mrs. Arrival to Pern. Your Uncle Homer sometimes raises a pig, and if Weaver goes there to live, you can walk down the road and visit him as often as you like. How much money should I ask for him? Pern wanted to know. Well, said her father, he's a runt. Tell your Uncle Homer you've got a pig you will sell for $6 and see what he said. 6달러만 달라고 얘기해보고 뭐라고 하는지 봐라 이러는 건데 and see what he said 이렇게 얘기했어요. It was soon arranged. 거래는 금방 이루어졌고요. Pond pawned and got her Aunt Edith, and her Aunt Edith hollered for Uncle Homer, and Uncle Homer came in front of Pern and talked to Pern when he heard that the price was only $6. He said he would buy the pig next day. Wilbur was taken from his home under the apple tree and went to live in a manure pile in the cellar of Jockman's barn. Chapter 3 Escape. The barn was very raggy. It was very old. It smelled of hay and it smelled of manure. It smelled of the perspiration of tired horses and the wonderful sweet breath of pain, patient cow. It often had a sort of peaceful smell, as though nothing bad could happen ever again in the world. It smelled of grain and of uh, harness, harness dressing, and of extra, extra grease and of rubber boots and of new robes. And whenever the the cat was the cat was cut cat the cat was given a fish head of it occasionally. Whenever the cat was given a fish head to eat, the barn would smell of fish, but mostly it smelled of hay, for there was always hay in the great loft up overhead, and there was always hay being pitched down to the cow and the horses and the sheep. The barn was pleasantly warm in winter when the animals spent most of their time indoor, and it was pleasantly cool in summer when the deck door stood wide open to the fleas. The barn had a stall on the main floor for the work horses, tied up tied up so on the main floor for the cows. A sheep fold down below for the sheep, a pig pen down below for Wilbur, and it was for all sort of things than you find in barn. Ladders, grain, grindstones, pitchfork, monkey, warranty, side, sides, ground, mower, snow shovel, axe handles, milk piles. It was the kind of barn that Charlotte liked to build their nest in. It was the kind of barn that children like to play in, and the hoarding was owned by Prince Uncle Mr. Homer L. Jackman. Wilbur's new home was in the lower part of the barn, directly un- underneath the cow. Mr. Jackman knew that a manure pile is a good place to keep a young pig. Pigs need warmth, and it was warm and comfortable down there in the palm cellar on the south side. Paul came almost every day to visit him. She found an old milking stool that had been discarded, and she placed the stool in the sheepfold next to Wilbur's pen. Here she sat quickly during the long afternoon, thinking and listening and watching Wilbur. The sheep soon got to know her and trust her. So did the geese who lived with the sheep, or the animals trusted her. She was so quiet and friendly. Mr. Duckman did not allow her to take Weaver out, and he did not allow her to get into the pig pen. But he told Pearl that she could sit on the stool and watch Weaver as long as she wanted to. It made her happy just to be near the pig, and it made Weaver happy to know that she was sitting there right outside his pen. But he never had any pearl, no work, no rice, no swims. One afternoon in June, when Weaver was almost 2 months old, he, he wandered out into his small yacht outside the barn. Pawn had not arrived for her usual visit. Weaver stood in the sun, feeling lonely and bored. There's never anything to do around here, he thought. He walked slowly to his foot through and sniffed to see if anything had been overlooked at Ranchi. He found a small strip of potato skin and ate it. His back ached, so he leaned against the fence and rubbed against the boat. When he tried off this, he walked indoor, climbed to the top of the manure pile, and sat down. He didn't feel like going to sleep. He didn't feel like digging. He was tired of standing still. Tried try of lying down. I'm less than 2 months old of old and I'm tired of living. He said he walked out to the yard again. When I'm out here, he said, there's no place to go but in. When I'm indoor, there's no place to go but out in the yard. That's where you are wrong, my friend, said the voice. Wilbur looked through the fence and saw the goose standing there. You don't have to stay in, that Dotty, little Dotty request. One of the board of rules. Push on it. Push on it. And come on out. What? said Weaver. State it slower. At, 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 at the risk of repeating myself, said the goose. I suggest then you come on out. It's wonderful out here. Did you say abroad was rules? Did I need? said the goose. We were walked out to the fence and saw that the goose was right. One bird, uh, one bird of one bird was loose. He put his head down, shut his eyes, and pushed. The bird gave way. In a minute, he had squeezed through the fence as was standing in the long grass outside his yard. The goose chuckled. How does it feel to be free? She asked. I like it, said Weaver. It's, I guess I like it. Actually, Weaver felt queer to be outside his fence with nothing between him and a big world. Where do you think I'd better go? Anywhere I anywhere you like, anywhere you like, said the goose. Go down through the orchard, root of the sod. Go down through the garden, dig up the radish. 나쁜 것만 시키네요, 그죠? Root up everything. Eat grass. Look for corn. Look for oat. Run all over. Skip and dance. Jump and prance. Go down through the orchard and scroll in the woods. The world is a wonderful place when you're young. I can see that, replied Weaver. He gave a jump in the air, twirled, twirled, ran a few steps, stopped, looked all around, sniffed the smell of afternoon, and then set off walking down through the orchard, pausing in the shadow of a maple tree. He put his strong snout into the ground and began pushing, digging, and rooting. He felt very happy. He had plowed up quite a piece of ground before anyone noticed him. Mrs. Chuckman was the first to see him. He saw him from the kitchen window, and she immediately shouted for the man. Homer! She cried. Pigs out! Robbie! Pigs out! Homer! Robbie! Pigs out! He's down there on that apple tree. Now the troubles start. 문제를 일으키기 시작했어. thought Weaver. Now I catch it. Goose heard the racket, and she too started hollering, 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 started hollering, run, 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 downhill, make for the ooze, the ooze, she shouted to Weaver. They will never, never, never catch you in the woods. 왜 도망가야 되는데? The caucus runner heard motion, and he ran out from the barn to join the chest. Mr. Chuckman heard, and he came out of the machine shed where he was mending a tool. Robbie, the herdman, 양치기네요. Heard the noise and came up from the a gur, asparagus patch where he was pulling with. Everybody toward, walked toward Weaver, and Weaver didn't know what to do. The ooze seemed a wrong way off, and anyway, he had never been down there in the ooze and wasn't sure he would like it. Get around behind him, Robbie, said Mr. Chuckman, and drive him toward the barn and take it easy. Don't rush him. I will go and get a ba- bucket of slop. The news of Weaver's escape spread rap- rapidly among the animals on the place. Whenever any creature broke loose on Chapman's farm, the event was of great interest to the other, and the goose shouted to the nearest cow, and Wilbur was free, and soon all the cow news. Then one of the cow told one of the sheep, and soon all the sheep knew. The ram ran about it from their mother. The horse, the horse in their stall in the barn pricked up their ear when they heard the goose hollering, and soon the horse had caught on to what was happening. Weaver's out, they said. Every animal stirred and lifted its heavy and was no longer pent up or tied fast. Weaver didn't know what to do or which way to run. It seemed as though everybody was after him. If this is what it's right to be free, he thought, I believe I'd rather be penned up in my own yard. The cooker Coco Panier was sneaking up and up on him from one side. Coco Robbie, the herdman, was sneaking up on him from the other side. Mrs. Jugman stood ready to head him off. He started Potter Garden, and now Mr. Jugman was coming down toward him carrying a pail. This is really awful, thought Weaver. Why doesn't Pern come? 펀은 왜 안 왔지? 이런 거죠. 얘 아무 생각 없어. He began to cry. The goose took command and began to give order. Don't just stand there, Weaver. Dog about. Dozy about. Dozy about. Dozy about. Cried the goose. skip around the run away, run toward me, slip in and out, in and out, in and out. My foot, the ooze, twist and turn. And Coco Spaniel sprang for Weaver's hind rack. Weaver jumped and ran. Robbie reached out and grabbed. Mrs. Chuckman screamed at Robbie. The goose cheered for Weaver. Weaver dodged it between Robbie's rack. Robbie missed it too. Weaver and gripped the spaniel instead. Nicely done, cried the goose. Try it again, try it again. Run downhill, suggested the cow. Run toward me, yelled the gain, gander. Run up here, cried the sheep. Turn and twist, honked the goose. Jump and dance, said the rooster. Look out, Robbie, called the cow. Look out, the jumpman, yelled the gander. Watch out for the duck, cried the sheep. Listen to me, screamed the goose. Poor Weaver was startled and frightened by this hullabaloo. He didn't being the center of all this pause. He tried to follow the instruction his friends were giving him, but he couldn't run downhill and uphill and at the same time, and he couldn't turn and twist when he was jumping and dance, and he was crying so hard he could barely see anything that was happening. After all, Weaver was a very young pig, not much more than a baby, really. He wished Plum was there to take him in her arm and comfort him. When he looked up and saw Mrs. Chapman standing close to him holding a pile of warm slough, he felt relieved. He lifted his nose and sniffed. The smell was delicious, warm milk potato skin with middling Kellogg's corn placed, and a popper left from the Chuckman's breakfast. Come, pig, said Mrs. Chuckman, tapping the fire. Come, pig. Weaver took a step toward the pile. No, said the goose. It's the old pie trick. Weaver, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. He's crying to lure you back into captivity in beauty. He's appealing to your stomach. Weaver didn't care. The food smelled appetizing. Appetizing. He took another step toward the pail. Pig, 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 said Mr. Chapman in a kind voice and began work slowly toward the barnyard, looking all about him innocently, as if he didn't know that a little white pig was following along behind him. "You will be sorry, sorry, sorry," called the goose. Wilbur didn't care. He kept walking toward the pile of sloth. "You will miss your freedom," honked the goose. An hour of freedom is worth a barrel of sloth." Wilbur didn't care. When Mr. Jugman reached the pig pen, he climbed over the fence and poured the slough into the trough. Then he pulled the loose board away from the pens so that there was a wide hole for Wilbur to walk through. 걸었을 것이죠. Recognize, reconcile, 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 cried Rose. Wilbur paid no attention. He stepped through the fence into his yard. He walked to the trough and took a long drink of sloth, sucking in the milk hungrily and chewing the pawpaw. It was good to be home again. While Wilbur ate, Robbie patted the hammer and some 8-penny nail and nailed the board in place. Then he and Mr. Chapman leaned lazily on the fence, and Mr. Chapman scratched Wilbur's back with a stick. "He's quite big," said Robbie. "Yes, he will make a good pig," said Mr. Chapman. Wilbur heard the word of fries. He felt the warm milk inside his stomach. He felt the present rubbing, happy and sleep, rubbing of the stick along his back. He felt peaceful and happy and sleepy. This had been a tiring afternoon. It was still only about 4 o'clock, but Weaver was ready for bed. "I'm really too young to go out into the world alone," he thought as he lay down. 까지 읽었어요. 좀 읽었는데 이거 아마 조금 더 빨리 읽어야지 되는 것 같은데 이게 제가 읽을 수 있는 속도예요. 그러니까 굉장히 느리죠. 전체가 20챕터, 22챕터 정도 되는데 아마 하루에 3, 4챕터씩 읽으면 일주일 분량인가 봐요. 네. 학교에서는 이것보다 더 많은 분량을 정해주고 읽으라고 하더라고요. 그래서 조금 걱정이에요. 그러니까 제가 이해하면서 읽으려면 이 정도 속도여야 하거든요. 이것보다 더 빨리 읽으면은 사실 이해하면서 읽기는 조금 힘들어지는데, 모르겠어요. 이제 학교에 다니고 있기 때문에 아이들은 조금 더 빨리 이해를 하는지, 근데 정확한 이해는 힘들지 않을까 싶기도 하고요. 네, 어쨌든 오늘은 여기까지입니다. 내일도 기회가 되면 이 자리에 앉겠죠. 한동안 엉덩이 뼈가 너무 아파서 못 앉았는데 요즘은 도넛 쿠션이라고 하거든요. 엉덩이 부분 이렇게 비어져 있는 포지션에 앉으면 그래도 한두 시간 정도는 앉을 수 있는 것 같아요. 이렇게 약간 숙이다시피 하고 앉으면. 네. 그래서 어깨로 버텨서 그런지 어깨가 좀 문제가 생기는 것 같아요. 나중에 또 읽을 수 있으면 좋겠습니다. 안녕.